Imagine getting laid off right before the holidays, right before the time you're going to meet with your family, right before the season where you need to buy your kids gifts, right before the season where you're supposed to enjoy and relax your time off. Instead, you're signing onto a Zoom meeting, HR is on there, your CEO is on there, and you're there with 200 or 300 or maybe even 1,000 other employees. And the message is profits are down in 2024, and unfortunately, we need to lay you off. Well, this is a reality for a lot of people right now. This is a list of companies that have laid people off in the first part of November, but I believe this is going to continue. Since then, we've seen companies like GM lay off thousands of employees via an email. So guys, as much as I would like to say happy holidays, for a lot of people this year, it is not going to be happy. It's going to be absolutely brutal, and they are going to be on the job market. What a way to start and roll into 2025.
Nothing pisses me off more than hearing about people being laid off right before the holidays. You will never be able to convince me that these organizations don't know exactly what they're doing by waiting until the end of the year to fire people with no regard on how it'll affect them, with no regard the financial burden that'll come to them and their families. They know exactly what they're doing, okay? I'm not sure what's going on in those meetings, if they're saying it's performance-based or, we're so sorry, we never saw this coming. We know the timing is not ideal. It's out of our hands. Bullshit. Okay, let me tell you the top 4 reasons why these companies will continue to do mass layoffs right before the holidays, right before the end of the year, and it will piss you off, okay, if you're not pissed off already. Number 1, shocker, cost cutting for year-end financials. A lot of companies will aim to reduce expenses right before the end of the year so that they can meet or exceed their financial metrics. And the quickest way to do that is through layoffs, okay? Nothing is more expensive than the workforce. So layoffs are a good way in the eyes of these companies to boost profitability and limit losses right before they send out year-end reports. They will much rather look good in the eyes of the stakeholders than do good by the employees that have dedicated parts of their lives to that company. It's really sad. Number 2, tax and accounting advantages. I told you it'll piss you off. So if a company does layoffs before the end of the fiscal year, it will allow them to classify severance packages and restructuring costs as tax write-offs. Improving their financial standing for next year. Economic uncertainty and market conditions is another reason why companies would perform mass layoffs at the end of the year. There's a lot of insider information that is being shared at the top of these organizations with these shareholders. Do you guys remember in 2019 when a lot of these CEOs were stepping down from their position right before the pandemic? Also, given the most recent presidential election, it does not take a rocket scientist to know that the economy is going to change. So a lot of these organizations are anticipating higher operational costs, leading them to preemptively reduce workforce expenses. And number 4, a shift in strategic priorities. A lot of companies will use Q4 to assess different departments and projects. And if they decide that they have different future priorities, then they can easily cut, resources that are no longer serving, the direction that they want to go in. I truly feel like the way organizations conduct mass layoffs is a reflection of the core essence of how they operate as a business. A lot of companies, particularly in the tech industry, have piss poor practices when it comes to layoffs. It is clear that they will always choose finances and the bottom line over employees. And I feel like that needs to be clocked. Okay, so consider it clocked. Let me know in the comments if these are any of the reasons that they shared with you as to why they were conducting mass layoffs, or if this is something that you already knew. All right, and make sure to follow me for more career advice.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, this isn't good. America's biggest private company, Cargill, is getting ready to lay off over 5% of its workforce. Let me tell you why this is not good. First, Cargill is America's largest privately held company. It is also the world's largest agricultural commodities trader. AKA, if things aren't going good with agriculture, things aren't going good for them. But now grocery prices are dropping. On top of that, the number of U.S. cattle is down, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Are we starting to get it? Cargill has invested to be one of the largest beef processors in North America. Bloomberg reported earlier this year that the famously tight-lipped behemoth's profits had fallen to $2.48 billion in the fiscal year ending in May. If $2.48 billion is bad, I'd love to know what's good. Now here's the problem. Cargill has more than 160,000 employees, and there's going to be an estimated 8,000 cuts. Then they give you this mumbo jumbo. As we look to the future, we have laid out a clear plan to evolve and strengthen our portfolio to take advantage of compelling trends in front of us, maximizing our competitiveness and above all, continuing to deliver for our customers. Gotta love the corporate world. But yeah, guys, in a nutshell, this spells disaster in a way, because the biggest commodities trader in agriculture is getting ready to lay off 8,000 people, and they're the behemoth of this space. Something's not right.
Interesting twist from Mitsubishi this week. They announced that they're buying 10% of its existing shares back from Nissan. Both brands say that they're going to continue to collaborate in the future. The sale reduces Nissan's current stake in Mitsubishi from 34.07% to 24.05%. Nissan has cut jobs to the tune of 9,000 globally, reducing global production capacity by 20%. And additionally, Nissan cut its annual operating profit forecast to $975 million. That's a reduction of 70% in order to lower administrative spending. Both Mitsubishi and Nissan are part of an alliance with Renault, working together on several vehicles in other markets. Moving forward, they plan to build multiple models together. This is what I'm getting from insiders. What do you guys think about all these changes right now in the industry? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.
Cargill announced yesterday that they're firing 8,000 of their workers. Just in time for Christmas. 8,000. That's about 5% of their workforce. Why? Are they losing money? No, but their profits have fallen to only $2.5 billion. Cargill's a privately owned company. 20 members of the Cargill-Macmillan family own 90% of the company. Dividing that up, that means they only make $110 million each this year. No wonder they have to fire 8,000 people. They've got to buy Christmas presents too, you know.
Total more than 300 people will be laid off.
While many employers might be giving a holiday bonus this time of year, we've learned UPS will be giving at least 300 workers in Oklahoma City something different, a trip to the unemployment office. UPS sending this notice to the Oklahoma Employment Security Commission last week, informing the state they'll be laying off 304 employees at this Oklahoma City distribution center, writing they'll be separated from employment by January 15th as part of a company-wide reduction in force. We only know that because the OESC provided us that document. When we reached out to UPS directly, they refused to tell us how many employees were losing their jobs, instead telling us, as part of our Network of the Future initiative, we're modernizing our Oklahoma City UPS facility and will partially close the facility on January 15th, 2025. Our employees are extremely important to us, and we are working to place as many employees as possible in other positions. We remain committed to working with them through.
Is there a silver lining to the 2.4 million layoffs anticipated by the end of the year, not to mention the other cuts and freezes? Example, JP Morgan just announced they're cutting 12,000 bonuses from employees. Happy holidays on that one. The short answer is yes, there is a silver lining, and I believe Gen X is absolutely poised to take advantage of it if we want to. My name's Brett. I escaped the 9-to-5 grind 4 years ago, and now I'm on a mission to help 10,000 other Gen Xers take control. So you're thinking, what is the positives? Let me explain. I mostly work with, Gen Xers, corporate professionals, and helping them find, fractional consulting freelance work in mostly SME, so small and mid-sized enterprises, up to, 500 million in revenue, all the way down to startups. They're absolutely starved for your experience and knowledge. Now, on the plus side, we're starting to see more of the large organizations really start to adopt this freelance strategy, or they're starting to. Let me just check my notes here. Firms like JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, Nike, and others are all really starting to embrace the fractional services. An example of this is Microsoft, who's announced their strategy to expand their freelance and fractional programs. Keep in mind, this is after they laid off 10,000 full-time employees. So my point in all of this is the world's heading fractional. I mean, companies only want to pay for actual work and experience, and hell, we only want to get paid and only want to do the work. We don't need to do the busy work or the unnecessary meetings or the unnecessary commute. So my point is, we're heading this way anyway, so let's take advantage of it. This is one of those rare win-wins. It's going to take a while for a lot of organizations to get there. And if you're not or haven't considered fractional or going freelance, you really should. There's no real downside to doing it. You can test the waters. You can see what the type of money and opportunities are out there, and then make a choice and make a decision if you want to keep fighting the corporate battles or figure out how to go solo and take control of your career and basically your life. So if you have any questions, DM me or connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to help.
Toronto, we have a serious problem. UPS and Purolator have just announced they're pausing shipments for couriers, and you can thank the Canada Post strike for this. Here's all the info you need. Purolator said in an email that severe weather and a surge in package volume has prompted a freeze to the services, and they're going to prioritize critical shipments. And here's a couple quotes from Purolator on why they're pausing the mail service. And Canada Post will be reviewing the new counter proposals submitted by the union representing these workers. This Canada Post strike has been going on for 3 long weeks, and we're in the midst of holiday season. So Toronto, if your mail has been affected by this, whether it be Purolator, UPS, or Canada Post, let me know below.